and they went everywhere in Bengal, chanting the Maha Mantra and preaching the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu based on Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhaktivedanta Thakur has written very nicely in various songs about the amazing preaching of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. And one of his major contribution was a song in which he describes Bolo Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Koro Krishna Shiksha, Aparada Shunyahai Loha Krishna Nam, that everyone should chant the name of Krishna, worship Krishna, and take Lord Krishna's instruction, avoiding all offenses. This was the description of the Namhata preaching party of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. So what I will do here is read a few selected passages from Srila Prabhupada's books about Lord Nityananda, where he explains the very unique position of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Here we will be reading, I believe, from Adi Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 13, text number 61. Srila Prabhupada described the glories of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. In Radha Desha, the part of Bengal where the Ganges is not visible, Nityananda Prabhu, Gangadas Pandit, Murari Gupta, and Mukunda took birth. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Here, Radha Desha refers to the village of the name Ekachakra in the district of Birbhum next to Burdwan. After the Burdwan railway station, there is another branch line, which is called the Loop Line of the Eastern Railway. And there is a railway station of the name Malarapura. 8 miles east of this railway station, Ekachakra village is still situated. Ekachakra village stands north and south for an area of about 8 miles. Other villages, namely Virachandrapura and Virabhadrapura, are situated within the area of the village of Ekachakra. In honor of the holy name of Virabhadra Goswami, these places are renowned as Virachandrapura and Virabhadrapura. In the Bengali year 1331, AD 1924, a thunderbolt struck the temple of Ekachakra Grama. Therefore, the temple is now in a broken state. Before this, there were no such accidents in that quarter. Within the temple, there is a deity of Sri Krishna, established by Sri Nityananda Prabhu. The name of the deity is Banki Marai or Bankarai. On the right side of Banki Marai is the deity of Janava, and on his left side is Srimati Radharani. The priest of the temple described that Lord Nityananda Prabhu entered within the body of Banki Marai, and that the deity of Janava Mata was therefore later placed on the right side of Banki Marai. Afterwards, many other deities were installed within the temple. On another throne, within the temple, are deities of Muralidhar and Radha Madhava. On another throne are deities of Mano Mohan, Vrindavana Chandra, and Gaurnitai. But Banki Marai is the deity originally installed by Lord Nityananda Prabhu. On the eastern side of the temple is a ghat known as Kadamba Kandi on the bank of the Yamuna. And it is said that the deity of Banki Marai was floating in the water, and Lord Nityananda Prabhu picked him up and then installed him in the temple. Thereafter, in a place known as Badapura, in the village of Virachandrapura, about half a mile west, in a place underneath a neem tree, Srimati Radharani was found. For this reason, the Radharani of Banki Marai was known as Badapurera Thakurani, the mistress of Badapura. On another throne on the right side of Banki Marai is a deity of Yogamaya. Now the temple and temple corridor rest on a high plinth, and on a concrete structure in front of the temple is a meeting hall. It is also said that on the northern side of the temple there was a deity of Lord Shiva named Bandishwara, and that the father of Nityananda Prabhu, Hadai Pandit, used to worship that deity. At present, however, the Bandishwara deity is missing. And in this place, a Jagannath Swami deity has been installed. Lord Nityananda Prabhu did not factually construct any temples. The temple was constructed at the time of Virabhadra Prabhu. In the Bengali year, in the Bengali year 1298, AD 1891, the temple being in a dilapidated condition, a brahmachari of the name Shivananda Swami repaired it. In this temple, there is an arrangement to offer foodstuff to the deity on a basis of 17 seers of rice and necessary vegetables. The present priestly order of the temple belongs to the family of Gopijana Vallabhananda, one of the branches of Nityananda Prabhu. There is a land settlement in the name of the temple, and income from this land finances the expenditures for the temple. There are 3 parties of priestly Goswamis who take charge of the temple management one after another. A few steps onward from the temple is a place known as Vishrama Tala, where it is said that Nityananda Prabhu in his childhood used to enjoy sporting with his boyfriends by enacting the Rasa Leela and various other pastimes of Vrindavana. Near the temple is a place called Amali Tala, which is so named because of a big tamarind tree there. According to a party named the Nedadi Sampradaya, Virabhadra Prabhu, with the assistance of 1,200 Nedas, dug a great lake of the name Shweta Ganga. Outside of the temple are tombs of the Goswamis, and there is a small river known as the Maudeshwara, which is called the river of Yamuna. Within half a mile from this small river is the birthplace of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. It appears that there is a big meeting hall in front of the temple, but later it became dilapidated. It is now covered by banyan trees. Later on, a temple was constructed within which Gaur Nityananda deities are existing. The temple was constructed by the late Prasanna Kumar Karafarma. A tablet was installed in his memory in the Bengali year 1323, AD 1916, in the month of Vaishakha, April-May. The place where Nityananda Prabhu appeared is called Garbha Vasa. There is an allotment of about 43 bighas, 14 acres, of land to continue the worship in the temple there. The Maharaja of Dinajpur donated 20 bighas, 6.5 acres of land in this connection. It is said that near the place known as Garbha Vasa, Adai Pandit conducted a primary school. The priests of this place listed in a genealogical table were as follows: 1. Sri Raghava Chandra. 2. Jagadananda Dasa. 3. Krishna Dasa. 4. Nityananda Dasa. 5. Rama Dasa. 6. Vrajamohan Dasa. 7. Kanai Dasa. 8. Ghora Dasa. 9. Shivananda Dasa. 10. Hari Dasa. Krishna Dasa belonged to the Chidiya Kunja at Vrindavana. The date of his disappearance is Krishna Janmastami. Chidiya Kunja is a place now managed by the Goswamis of Sringar Gata in Vrindavana. They are known as belonging to the Nityananda family, most probably on the basis of their relationship with Krishna Dasa. Near Garbhadasa is a place called Bakula Tala, where Sri Nityananda Prabhu and his boyfriends used to take part in sporting activities known as Jala Japeta. There is a Bakula tree there that is wonderful because all its branches and sub-branches look like the hood of serpents. It has been suggested that by the desire of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Anantadeva manifested himself in that way. The tree is very old. It is said that formerly it had 2 trunks, but later on, when the playmates of Nityananda Prabhu felt inconvenience in jumping from the branches of one trunk to those of the other, Nityananda Prabhu, by his mercy, merged the 2 trunks into one. Another place is named Hantu Gada. It is said that Lord Nityananda Prabhu brought all the holy places there. Therefore, the poor people in the surrounding villages go there instead to the Ganges to take baths. It is named Hantu Gada because Srila Nityananda Prabhu used to perform the Dadi Chida festival of distributing chip rice with yogurt prasad there, and he took the prasad kneeling down. A sanctified lake in this place is always full of water throughout the year. A great fair is held there during Goshtastami, and there is another big fair on the birthday of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. In the Gaur Ganodesha Dipika, it is described that Halayuda, Baladeva, Vishwarupa, and Sankarsana appeared as Nityananda Prabhu. The foregoing was from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, the advent of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Adi 1361. Next, we have another section from Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 17, text number 12. After this function at the house of Srivas Thakur, Nityananda Prabhu appeared. And when he met with Lord Chaitanya, he got the opportunity to see him in his 6-armed form. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The form of Shadbhuja, the 6-armed Lord Gaurasundar, is a representation of 3 incarnations. The form of Sri Ramachandra is symbolized by a bow and arrow. The form of Lord Sri Krishna is symbolized by a stick and flute, like those generally held by a cowherd boy. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is symbolized by a sannyasi danda in kamandalu, or water pot. Srila Nityananda Prabhu was born in the village of Ekachakra in the district of Birbhum as the son of Padmavati and Hadai Pandit. In his childhood, he played like Balarama. When he was growing up, a sannyasi came to the house of Hadai Pandit, begging to have the Pandit's son as his brahmachari assistant. Hadai Pandit immediately agreed and delivered his son to him, although the separation was greatly shocking, so much that Hadai Pandit lost his life after the separation. Nityananda Prabhu traveled on many pilgrimages with the sannyasi. It is said that for many days he lived at Mathura with him, and at that time he heard about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes in Navadvipa. Therefore, he came down to Bengal to see the Lord. When Lord Nityananda came to Navadvip, he was a guest at the house of Nandana-Ācārya. Understanding that Nityananda Prabhu had arrived, Lord Chaitanya sent his devotees to him, and thus there was a meeting between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. The foregoing was from Adi Lila, chapter 17, text number 12. Now, I mentioned as part of the advertisement for this program that we would have a brief description of the position of Madhvacharya, whose disappearance day was earlier this week. According to the writings of Madhvacharya in a book called Vishnu Tattva Nirnaya, he revealed that he was an incarnation of Hanuman, Vayu, and Bhima, and he appeared to spread Krishna consciousness and spread the teachings of Vedanta Sutra that he had received from Lord Vedavyas himself on his trip to the Himalayas, to Badrinath. So this is a very special dispensation of mercy from Madhvacharya. With regards to the position of Sri Ramanujacharya, whose disappearance was also this week, there is also various opinions from his followers that many of them consider him to be an incarnation of one of the associates of Lord Rama. I'm trying to find the exact quote in here. But anyway, it is a very, very special week where we celebrate the disappearance of Madhvacharya, the disappearance of Ramanujacharya, and Varahadwadasi, the appearance of Lord Varadadev, was observed on Thursday, and yesterday was the special day of Varahadwadasi, and today is Sri Nityananda Trayodasi. So what is the next part of the program, Ram Raghava?
Prabhu, you can keep reading, or you can talk, or I can play the Jai Radha Madhava, and then we can do the reading if you want, Srimad Bhagavatam.
Let me just read one section here about the appearance of Lord Varahadev, because this is a very special week. On Wednesday, we had Ramanuja, on Tuesday, we had Madhva's disappearance day. Earlier on Wednesday, we had Sripada Ramanujacharya's disappearance day. This is Mayapur calendar. On Thursday, we had fasting for Bhaima Ekadasi, and also observance of fasting for Varahadwadasi. On Friday, Varahadwadasi, and today, the appearance of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. We have from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 13, text number 25. Nishamya te gargaritam svakeda, chayishnu maya maya shukarasya, janastapaha syatanivasidhaste, tribihi pavitrer munayo granam sma. Translation: when the great sages and thinkers who are residents of Janaloka, Tapoloka, and Satyaloka heard the tumultuous voice of Lord Bor, which was the all-auspicious sound of the all-merciful Lord, they chanted auspicious chants from the three Vedas. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The word Maya Maya is very significant in this verse. Maya means mercy, specific knowledge, and also illusion. Therefore, Lord Bor is everything. He's merciful. He is all knowledge, and he is illusion also. The sound which he vibrated as the Bor incarnation was answered by the Vedic hymns of the great sages in the planets Janaloka, Tapoloka, and Satyaloka. The highest intellectual and pious living entities live in those planets. And when they heard the extraordinary voice of the boar, they could understand that the specific sound was vibrated by the Lord and no one else. Therefore, they replied by praying to the Lord with Vedic hymns. The earth planet was submerged in the mire, but on hearing the sound of the Lord, the inhabitants of the higher planets were all jubilant because they knew that the Lord was there to deliver the earth. Therefore, Brahma and all the sages, such as Bhrigu, Brahma's other sons, and learned Brahmanas, were enlivened, and they concertedly joined in praising the Lord with the transcendental vibrations of the Vedic hymns. The most important is the Brihan Naradiya Purana verse, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This was from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 13, Text 25. We can play Jai Radha Madhava now. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava
Jai Nitalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka-Acārya Ashtotara Shatashri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda Ki Jai.
Jai Om Swahasaram Hare Krishna Sadasyaman Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupāda Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavindra Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridhavan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya Narayanam namaskritya Naram cheva narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 7. I believe we're on text number 36. Am I correct? Mattam pramatam udmattam. Text number 36. Mattam pramatam unmattam suptam balam striyam jadam prapannam viratam vitam naripum antidharmavit. Mattam, careless. Pramattam, intoxicated. Unmattam, insane. Suptam, asleep. Valam, boy. Striyam, woman. Jadam, foolish. Prapannam, surrendered. Viratam, one who has lost his chariot. Bhitam, afraid of. Na, not. Ripum, enemy. Hanti, kill. Dharmavit, one who knows the principles of religiosity. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. A person who knows the principles of religiosity does not kill an enemy who is careless, intoxicated, insane, asleep, a boy, a woman, a foolish creature, a surrendered soul, devoid of his chariot, afraid of, etc. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. An enemy who does not resist is never killed by a warrior who knows the principles of religion. Formerly, battles were fought on the principles of religion and not for the sake of sense gratification. If the enemy happened to be intoxicated, asleep, etc., as above mentioned, he was never to be killed. These are some of the codes of religious war. Formerly, war was never declared by the whims of selfish political leaders, but it was carried on religious principles free from all vices. Violence carried on religious principle is far superior than so-called nonviolence. Text number 37. Svapranam japara prane prapushnati agrinakalaha tadbaddastasya hi shreyo doshat yatyadya puman. Svapranam, one's own life. Jah, one who. Paraprane, at the cost of others' life. Prapushnati, maintains properly. Agrinaha, shameless. Kalaha, wretched. Tadvada, killing of him. Tasya, his. He, certainly. Shreyo, well-being. Yad, by which. Doshat, by the fault. Yati, goes. Adaha, downwards. Puman, a person. Translation by His Divine Grace. A cruel and wretched person who maintains his life, who maintains his existence properly at the cost of other life, deserves being killed, because such action is for his well-being. Otherwise, he shall go down by his own actions. Purport. Life for life is just punishment for a person who cruelly and shamelessly lives at the cost of others' life. Political morality is to punish a person by life sentence in order to save a cruel person from going down to hell. A murderer is condemned to life sentence by the state is good for the culprit, because he will have not to suffer for his act of murdering in his next life. Such life sentence for the murderer is the lowest possible punishment offered to him. And it is said in the Smriti Shastras that men who are punished by the king on the principle of a life for life are purified of all their sins, so much that they may be eligible for being promoted in the planet of heaven, as others do reach there by virtuous acts. According to Manu, the great author of civic codes and religious principles, even the killer of an animal is to be considered as a murderer, because animal food is never meant for the civilized man whose prime duty is to prepare himself for going back to Godhead. He says that in the act of killing an animal, there is regular conspiracy of the party of sinners, and all of them are liable to be punished as murderer of sinners, exactly like the party of conspirators who killed a human being combinedly. Such parties of combined murderers, namely one who gives permission for bringing an animal, one who kills the animal, one who sells the slaughter animal, one who cooks the animal, one who administers distribution of the foodstuff, and at last one who eats such cooked animal food, are all combined party of murderer. And all of them are liable to be punished by the laws of nature. Nobody can create a living being in spite of all his advancement of material science, and therefore nobody has a right to kill a living being by one's independent whims. For the animal eaters, the scriptures have sanctioned restricted animal sacrifices only, and such sanctions are there for restricting the opening of slaughterhouses and not for encouraging animal killing. The procedure under which animal sacrifice is allowed in the scriptures is good both for the animal sacrifice and the animal eaters. It is good for the animal in the sense that the sacrificed animal is at once promoted to human form of life after being sacrificed at the altar. And the animal eater is saved from grosser type of sins by eating meat supplied by organized slaughterhouse, which is a ghastly place for breeding all kinds of material afflictions to the society, country, and to the people in general. The material world is itself a place always full of anxieties. And by encouraging animal slaughter, the whole atmosphere becomes polluted more and more by periodical war, pestilence, famine, and many such unwanted calamities. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaham Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Bhagavad Vandana Kadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Charkara Yuktam Kadatehi Visheshataha Adadana Strinam Danter Idam Yachi Punaha Punaha Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhurisyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatosmyam Sadadaso Asmi Saravata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Satkarom Isvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. On this most auspicious day of the appearance day of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, we pray to Srila Prabhupada, our previous acharyas, and Lord Nityananda Prabhu himself, to bestow his mercy upon us so we can increase our Krishna consciousness, our taste for chanting the name of Krishna, and engage in practical service to their lordships. Now, these particular purports are very important. We have all heard the story of Ashwatthama, how he killed the 5 sons of Draupadi, and how Lord Krishna protected the last remaining son of the dynasty. But here, Lord Krishna is not very happy. He's told this Arjuna, a person who knows the principles of religiosity does not kill an enemy who is careless, intoxicated, insane, asleep, a boy, a woman, a foolish creature, a surrendered soul devoid of its chariot, afraid of. Now, this is very important. The reason being is that there are certain regulations and established rules for religious warfare. In the Vedas, there's actual code of conduct for Kshatriyas, just like there's a code of conduct for Brahmins. Brahmins fight with arguments and words. Kshatriyas fight with sword, bows and arrows and maces and other fighting devices. But in this particular case, what Ashwatthama did is that he was very, very cruel by killing the sons of Draupadi, and Krishna was not happy. And as we will see from the discussion, that Krishna was advising not to show mercy to Ashwatthama. And the next purport, Prabhupada is explaining about the principles and the danger of meat eating, unnecessarily killing animals in slaughterhouses. Now, it's very important because we see in human society So many people out of sentiment, they say, oh, why there's so much war? Why is there so much conflict? Why is there so much suffering as a result of war? But here we see there is very good explanation. This is the result of unnecessary animal killing. It breeds all kinds of conflicts, all kinds of problems, both in human society, in various countries. So there's no innocent party in Kali Yuga. This is the message here that is given by His Divine Grace. And this is very important because people do not understand karma. Generally, they think karma, oh, if somebody did something bad, he gets immediate reaction. Yes, sometimes one gets immediate reaction, and sometimes people will get future reaction. The reason, and right now we have the current situation. You look all around you, there are so many different varieties in human society. Some are very intelligent, some are somewhat intelligent, and some are dumb as a stone. Why is everybody not born with the same level of intelligence? Why is everybody not born as the son of a rich man or a daughter of a rich man? Why are there so many different varieties? Why is it that some people are extraordinarily beautiful, some people so-so, and some people are downright ugly? Why is not everybody born beautiful? This is due to past karma. But unfortunately, in human society, due to the influence of Kali Yuga, we have a situation where people are not properly educated. Manda sumanda matayo, manda bhagyahyo padrutaha. People in general in Kali Yuga, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, will fight over the slightest provocation. Why? Because this is the influence of Kali Yuga. So this is very important for those trying to progress in spiritual life, to refine their understanding, to increase their understanding, and not to unnecessarily fight with other persons or other practitioners. This is very important. Then one's understanding of spiritual life, spiritual principles, and the increase in the mode of goodness will increase instead of increase in the mode of passion. This is very important. We see in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna describes in the last part of the Bhagavad Gita about the modes of material nature, the effects of the mode of passion and ignorance. But if one becomes a devotee and has shaven head and tilak and claims to be following Srila Prabhupada, one cannot engage in activities of Rajagun and Tamagun and claim, oh, I'm a devotee now. Therefore, I have a license to engage any kind of language, any kind of activity, any kind of behavior. That is not proper. This is due to lack of spiritual understanding and lack of proper practices. Now, this is very important. Before we open the discussion on this particular purport about the effect of meat eating and the mode of passion, it's to be understood that in the Vedic principle, in the Vedic age, the kings had knowledge of karma, that if a person has killed another human being, his life would be taken to prevent him from suffering in the future. Very important, very nice. Neil Sharma Prabhu has put a very nice quote here in the chat. I just want to read this. This is very important. Where's the quote? Well, here we go. From a lecture by Srila Prabhupada in London, England on July 22nd, 1973. So far, so as the doctors, medical men, surgeons are trained up to operate their knife on the dead body to see where are the nerves. Similarly, Kshatriyas are also allowed for being trained how to kill. Kshatriya means kshat. Kshat means injury. And tra means trayate, saves. A Kshatriya has to save the citizens from being injured by others. He is called Kshatriya. Very, very nice. Brahmana means one who knows Brahman, the Supreme. So Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, these divisions are there according to quality. Guna karma vibhaga shaha. By guna. Guna means quality. And karma means actual operation of the guna. So Arjuna was a kshatriya, trained up by Dronacharya how to kill. This is the non-violence is not the business of the kshatriya. That is cowardice. They are taught how to become violent. Otherwise, they cannot rule over. Formerly, the judgment was given by the king, immediately finished, not go to the court and wait for the judgment for 10 years. In the meantime, everything is finished. Not like that. Anything that was regularly, the king used to sit in his assembly, and all the criminals, culprits, they were judged by the king himself. Sometimes the king had to kill personally with the sword. Even in European countries, the royal orders were trained up. Nowadays, it is constitutional democratic government. The king has no power, but this is not good for the people. The democracy is a farce. At least I do not like it, because so many rascals, simply by getting vote, go to the government, and what do they know how to rule over? Therefore, at the present moment, all over the world, there's no good government. There's no good government. The America was going to have very good government. Now we can see the behavior of the Nixon. It is not possible. So at this point, Ram Raghava would like to open the discussion, maybe ask Ishan Prabhu to make some comments on some of these topics.
Yes, Prabhu, we can turn it over to Ishan Prabhu. Just as a reminder, we have set aside from 12 noon or till 12:25 for discussion. So if everybody could please stay brief. There are some questions being submitted for discussion.
Go ahead, Prabhu.
I hesitate because you're doing such a beautiful presentation, and all I have is a few ideas I can put in my own words, but I can't quote so beautifully. I'm on the, I can't talk right now, but I'll call you right back. We have today, everywhere in the world, tidal waves that cover cities. You have forest fires that they can't control. We have hurricanes. We have earthquakes that destroyed in one country in the Middle East last year, 50,000 people overnight in a big city. We have all of these things, including wars, as Srila Prabhupada has mentioned. All of this is mass karma. But the people are unaware. They're unaware of the laws of nature. This is nature's wake-up call. Krishna's material nature is giving us feedback for the way in which we live. The scientist is trying to improve the quality of life, but they have no understanding, and the population has no understanding that we have to live according to the laws of God. Srila Prabhupada is giving us this instruction, and Srila Prabhupada has been trying to reach the more intelligent, the leaders of the world, but they're not ready to hear. We shall see. So sometimes Srila Prabhupada is talking about sometimes World War III. Then perhaps the world will be brought to its knees and really beginning to look for an answer. Then they'll be ready to hear. Just like all of us, that when we have suffered enough and our hearts become willing to hear, then Krishna puts us in touch with his pure devotee representative. In this way, suffering is part of the medicine that brings us back home. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Ishan Prabhu. What wonderful points you made. Much appreciated. There is a question by Bhaktivedanta Prabhu, and let me find it. So Bhaktivedanta Prabhu asks, if today one Krishna conscious devotee tries to govern a nation and he wants that the people should become Krishna conscious, so how will he do so? And also, how will he help them? And is it okay if he uses force for doing so?
Well, as to how to do that, I think we all know that Prabhupada is giving a lot of directives and instructions in his various teachings in his books. For example, today Prabhupada was mentioning in the purport of text number 37, Canto 1, Chapter 7, text 37, of how the killing of animals, unnecessarily killing of animals and the partaking of animal food is very injurious to one's spiritual progress. But this goes on all over the world. So one of the first things that Prabhupada used to do when he came to America is give people prasadam. There's a conversation where Srila Prabhupada used to say in the beginning, people did not care so much for chanting. They came for prasadam. Prabhupada himself used to cook. He used to directly serve the devotees in New York on 2nd Avenue. This is the mercy of the pure devotee, because he was showing by example that the proper foodstuff for human beings should not be animal food. But people are so dull in the age of Kali Yuga, they have difficulty understanding this. Very, very difficult. That is why in the age of Kali Yuga, Prabhupada mentions in so many of his purports, I mean, for the sake of being redundant, everybody knows the famous quote that Prabhupada used to give, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalau Nastyeva, Nastyeva, Nastyeva Gatiranyata. And in this age of Kali, this chanting of the name of Krishna is the only means for self-realization. Why was this emphasized so much? Because Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya emphasized it. Prabhupada did not invent the preaching method. He just followed the actual preaching method that had been established in practice by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And just like Ishan Prabhu just mentioned, when somebody is ready for the message of a pure devotee, for the connection of a pure devotee, when somebody is serious enough and is serious to take that mercy will come. And it is not just physical connection. How do we explain that so many people became Prabhupada's followers and students and disciples who never physically met Prabhupada? How did Prabhupada accept them? How did they become? How do people nowadays? So many people, and I know many of you have experienced, who never physically met Prabhupada, yet they're receiving that mercy. What is that mercy? The Vani of the Guru, the Vani incarnation of the Guru. That is why those who are a little knowledgeable and a little sensitive understand the importance of not changing the words of the Acharya under the plea of grammatical embellishment or so-called editing. Because the first point in spiritual life is to understand the representative of Nityananda Prabhu. This is very important. We're celebrating the appearance day of Lord Nityananda. That is good. That is most auspicious. But the representative of Lord Nityananda is the bona fide Acharya. Who is the bona fide Acharya at this time? That's His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Because Prabhupada lives in sound. He lives through his books. We have discussed many times as part of various presentations when Prabhupada was in Berkeley in 1975, and the reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, what will happen to the movement when you die? And Prabhupada's first reply is, I shall never die. I shall live from my books and you will utilize. Now, for those who have this bodily, materialistic idea of guru, of physicality, this is very difficult for these people to understand because they have the wrong understanding. Just like Lord Nityananda was the principal associate. Oh, thank you. Thank you. This is very, let's read the actual quote. This is important. Where's the reporter talking? Prabhupada says, after 1 month, I will be 80. Reporter, 80? Prabhupada, 80 years old. Reporter, what will happen? Prabhupada, I was born in 1986. Now you can calculate. Reporter, what will happen to the movement in the United States when you die? Prabhupada, I will never die. Devotees, Haribol, laughter. Prabhupada, I shall live from my books and you will utilize. Are you training a successor? Prabhupada, yes, my Guru Maharaj is there. Where is my father of Guru Maharaj? One devotee pointed out to me that Prabhupada very clearly understood the question, but he did not give the kind of answer that the reporter was expecting. Because Prabhupada is always thinking that his Guru Maharaj is always present, eternally present. This is the same for us. I don't want to take too much time. I think that Vijay Pandit has his hand up.
Yes, Prabhu, go ahead, Vijay Pandit Prabhu. And then there's a request by Jayraj Kilkar.
Hare Krishna. Just a short question that makes my wife. She's asking, will those who are forced to serve or cook meat for work despite being vegetarians pay the same karma as others?
Not necessarily if they're vegetarian, but if one is serious, you should find some other occupation where he's not involved in supporting animal killing. You know, in the Nectar of Devotion, there is one place that one should be willing to live in a cage with snakes and surrounded by vicious animals, or a cage with fire, rather than associates with those who are engaged in animal killing and sinful activities. So this is an important point. One should try to disassociate himself. But in Kali Yuga, it's difficult. For example, I'm sure in Italy, both you and your wife know, if you go to the supermarket to buy vegetables or pasta or tomatoes, in the same supermarket, they are selling meat. So in Kali Yuga, it's very difficult. That's why we pray to Prabhupada and Krishna, and we offer things according to the instruction of the Acharya. Specific instruction to purify the food and to sanctify the food. That's all I can say for that at this point.
Thank you. And along those lines, before I get to the request of Jayraj Kelkar, I wanted to request you, Prabhu, to make a comment on this. I had read somewhere that Srila Prabhupada's sister, Pishima, who was initiated, she had a husband who ate meat, and she had to cook for him. So if you know anything about that, I would appreciate clarification.
I never heard anything about that, but given the fact that she was Prabhupada's associate, whatever the situation was, I mean, I've heard in Vrindavan in 1975, Prabhupada told Hamsaduta that in the restaurants, to bring people to Krishna consciousness, we could serve coffee and tea, but I don't think he ever told them to serve meat or anything. But certain allowances were considered by Prabhupada to bring people to hear about Krishna. But that again, that is the judgment of a pure devotee, of a highly empowered Acharya. That is not for neophytes like us. One cannot twist the philosophy or change the philosophy to try to adopt some mental concoction. It's a very, very troublesome trend that we see nowadays of people twisting the philosophy and the practice based on false ego. Ishan Prabhu, you had your hand up.
We were discussing, we were discussing or mentioning the discussion between Srila Prabhupada and the reporter. And Srila Prabhupada said he would never die. However, we have it today in the ISKCON Society, or what is used to be, that one has to have a living guru. And Srila Prabhupada says he will never be not living. We see in the introduction or in the first pages of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he became the disciple of Narottam Das Thakur. Historically, we understand that Narottam Das Thakur and Srila Vishwanath Thakur lived more than 100 years between their appearance. And yet, Srila Prabhupada writes that Srila Narottam Das Thakur accepted Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti as his disciple. So this idea, it's not only just an idea that the Acharya never dies, but that they're transcendental personalities, and that our business is to have a transcendental relationship with them. Not that I'm officially a student, but I have to have a living relationship with my spiritual master in order to receive from him what Srila Prabhupada describes in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, first chapter, 47th verse, purport that the spiritual master, there are two kinds of instruction. One is objective instruction like philosophy, and the other is subjective instruction that the student receives within his heart in a transcendental relationship with his spiritual master. And this is the only way in which a real disciple can become a real devotee of God, by learning from the spiritual master what is the meaning of love of God. They're thinking that simply by following rules and regulations, one will earn, something will be added. But Srila Prabhupada says nothing is earned or added, but that love of God is in all of our hearts. But it simply has to be awakened. That awakening procedure is when we come in touch transcendentally with a bona fide spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada gives the example based on the Srimad Bhagavatam that wood is better than earth, smoking wood is better than dry wood, and fire is better than smoking wood. We are like the wood now, our hearts, that is not like dry wood. But when we come in touch with the spiritual master, bona fide, who is aflame with love of God, then we also can become aflame with love of God. Therefore, a living relationship is required. Not simply obedience to rules and regulations, but a living relationship is required. Hare Krishna.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Is there a question from
Yes,
Bhaktivedanta Prabhu?
Jairaj Kelkar had a request. He said, Hare Krishna, please elaborate about Srila Prabhupada's opinion on election voting.
Prabhupada many times explained in various lectures and many places in his books that in the age of Kali Yuga, because people are Shudra, they do not know who is actually qualified to lead. So they will elect another Shudra. And that is the defect of the democratic system. And that we see. We elect leaders, and then they find, oh, this leader is not perfect. Let's tear him down. We've seen this many times. That's why we see it among the Shudras. Actually, the word Shudra in Sanskrit come from a Sanskrit root called shok, to lament. Characteristics of Shudra is lamenting. What is the characteristics of a Brahmin? We quoted last week. Even Ishan Prabhu was discussing Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Naso Chati Nakankshati. Stop the constant hankering and the constant lamentation. That is why to come to the Brahminical platform is important. How to do that? One has to restrict the senses. One has to control the senses according to the specific instruction of the spiritual master. So one can develop the vision and the steadiness and the understanding instead of this constant hankering for sense gratification. When the sense gratification is interrupted, there's lamentation. And we see this in our country. There's all kinds of protests that our sense gratification has not been satisfied. We are protesting this, we are protesting that. That's why Prabhupada did not, that's why the king system, the monarchy system was better. But in Kali Yuga, they want to see everybody is equal. Well, the reality is that spiritually, everybody is equal. Materially, it's not. It's like we touched upon karma. Why is everybody not born as the son or daughter of a rich man? Because of previous karma, previous activities. Somebody, I think our good friend Neil Sharma or somebody put this very important point here. Let's read this. This is from lecture by Srila Prabhupada on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 18 in Mayapur on September 28, 1974. So Kunti is the aunt, Pishima, aunt of Krishna, Vasudev's sister Kunti. So when Krishna was going back to Dwarka, after finishing the battle of Kurukshetra and establishing Maharaj Yudhishthira on the throne, his mission was that Duryodhana should be thrown out, and Yudhishthira must sit down on the throne. Dharma Raja, this is the desire of Krishna or God, that the state executive head should be as pious as Maharaj Yudhishthira. That is the scheme. Unfortunately, people do not want that. They have now discovered this democracy, demon crazy. Shortcut of demon crazy is democracy. All the demons and rogues, they gather together, somehow or other, votes, and occupy the seat, and the business is plundering. The business is plundering. If we talk very much upon this, it will not be very favorable. But according to Shastra, we talk according to Shastra, that the democracy is assembly of rogues and plunderers. That is the statement in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Dasyu dharmabhihi. The government men will be all dasyu. Dasyu means plunderer, not pickpocket. Pickpocket somehow or other, if you do not understand, take something from your pocket. And the plunderer or the dasyu, he catches you, and by force, if you don't spare your money, I shall kill you. They're called dasyu. Now, this is a very important point, because here in California, there is big uproar about taxes and how so much money is being spent, billions of dollars, not millions, billions of dollars in various projects, and nobody can account where the money went. Nobody can explain. There's so many different projects. This is Kali Yuga. That's why in Kali Yuga, it is a very, very difficult position. And we have to pray to take shelter of the lotus feet of Nityananda Prabhu and his bona fide representative, Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. What is that comment by Vamshivardhana about Arsha Prayoga?
Prabhu, can I interject over here?
Of course.
Hare Krishna. On the question raised by Vijay Prabhu about what is the karmic reaction. Here, Prabhupada says that there are 6 categories of people. who equally share in the karmic reactions. The one who kills the animal, the one who orders or pays for the killing, the one who sells the meat, the one who buys the meat, and the one who cooks or serves the meat, and of course, the one who eats the meat. So, six people share the sin. He often cites the Vedic principles that six parties do all that at the same. And it is written in this particular book, Prabhupada books, in this particular link. If you click on it, you will see the quotation. Hare Krishna.
Very good point. Very important point.
Maybe
I was just-
Dharma Bhavana Prabhu has something to add or say.
Yes.
I would like to
Please
invite
go
Dharma
ahead,
Bhavana.
Dharma Bhavana Prabhu.
Oh, Hare Krishna. Yeah,
Hare Krishna.
I just had a question about Lord Nityananda. It was mentioned that he did not open any temples. So I was just thinking to myself, how did he organize the devotees to come together for kirtan if there were he did not open any temples?
It's called Nam Hatta. They would gather together and chant, preach from village to village, everywhere. In Mayapur, across the river, there's a little place called Godrum. That's where the original place of the Sankirtan movement. Bhaktivedanta Thakur established a temple there. But during the time of Nityananda Prabhu, it was all forest. So basically, Nityananda Prabhu went everywhere with his associates. Just like I mentioned, the Dwarasa Gopal, according to the literatures of the Gaudiya Sampradaya, there were 12 principal associates of Lord Nityananda who went everywhere with him preaching. These were very empowered Nityasiddha Mahabhagavatas everywhere, and they would chant. And just by seeing these devotees, just by being in contact with these devotees, people would become purified. But as far as establishing big temples, Prabhupada mentions, I mean, in Ekachakra, there was a few places of worship, but I think what Prabhupada was referring to, establish big, large temples. Most of the preaching in those days was all done through Nam Samkirtan. And that was the same method that Bhaktivedanta Thakur used during his manifested presence. He established all different kind of Nam Hattas, living rooms, small places where people would gather, they would preach, they would chant. Of course, Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and our Srila Prabhupada, they've established temples to give people a chance to come and hear about Krishna. That is the whole idea. But more important than the temples is literature. Prabhupada called it Brihat Mridanga, so people would get the chance to hear the message of the pure devotee. Even if there's a famous quote, which I'm sure you all heard, Prabhupada said, if there are no temples, the books will remain. When Hamsadutta was named a BBT trustee, he personally told me this story. He asked Srila Prabhupada, why did you choose me to be a BBT trustee? I'm not very educated. I never went to college. You have so many educated disciples. Why? Prabhupada says, because you have understood the importance of my books and distributing the books. And then Prabhupada said, the devotees may fail, the temples may fail, but my books will never fail. And this is why the real message of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada and Lord Nityananda and all the Acharyas are contained in these books. They're available. Whether somebody met physically Prabhupada or not, of course, that is definitely very special mercy and special dispensation that we've met Prabhupada, we were initiated. But then one should not be falsely proud, thinking, oh, I'm a devotee, I met Prabhupada and other people have not. That kind of false pride would not help. That is not the proper thinking. We have to be very careful about these things. So this is the message of Srila Prabhupada, to learn the books, to hear the message of the books. Why? Because it is non-different than Krishna. Very important point. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you,
I would
Dharma
like to-
Bhavana. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask Mother Rochisha Mataji if she had anything to share or say with us or ask this time. No? Okay, thank you. And also I wanted to welcome again and ask Mother Anda Bhaya Devidasi and Jiva Goswami Prabhus from North Carolina. It's so nice to see them. If they would like to say anything or ask anything or make a comment.
Go ahead, Mataji. Your sound.
You have to unmute your microphone.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhu. It's been a while since we've got to see all of your lovely faces. So I don't really have much to say. My husband might.
Jiva Goswami Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. What I'd like to say is that we'd like to start a rhythmic temple in near the Prabhupada village. So if there's anyone interested in that, please contact me, and we'd be happy to help with that.
Nice.
Hare Krishna. And I think Ishan Prabhu had something more to say, and then I'll play the kirtan with Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhuji, if you can mute everybody, keep only one person unmute. There's a lot of echo.
Go ahead, Ishan Prabhu.
So many subjects have been mentioned. I can't hold on to all of it. I had some ideas. But sometimes we hear about senior devotees. From my point of view, there's only one senior devotee, Srila Prabhupada. That a person like myself is older, or that we've had some personal, apparently physical relationship with Srila Prabhupada. We have to remember that those who were with Srila Prabhupada more than all of us, his managers, his GBC, they became the greatest offenders to Srila Prabhupada in the whole movement. So it's not a question simply that someone has been in Srila Prabhupada's presence or not. It's not a question of someone being older or not. In fact, a person who just received the Bhagavad Gita yesterday, within 1 week or less, can be more advanced than all of us. This is the truth. It's only a question of how much we open our heart. So Krishna consciousness is not a caste system where we evaluate each other by these standards of he has been in the same room with Srila Prabhupada and he is an older person and what year he came to this movement, etc., etc. These are misunderstandings of the basis. Another point that came to mind is that is mentioned, we were talking about the karma of the world, that in the kingdom of Maharaj Yudhisthira, the rain will fall in the evening, the sun will shine in the daytime, the crops will grow, the hills will produce the minerals and jewels. All of nature becomes a symphony of harmony, and this is the business of the administrators of the king, to see that all we have to do is live in accord with the laws that Krishna has given, and Srila Prabhupada, his pure devotee, is telling us how to live. That the droughts and floods, no, beautiful rain, beautiful production, everything. All we have to do is live according to Srila Prabhupada's instructions, and this day will come. 10,000 years we've only started. And then, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. And so now we've come to the end of the program. I'm going to play the short kirtan with Srila Prabhupada, less than 3 minutes, and then we'll have the Vaishnava Pranam prayers. And we'll end any announcements by Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Vanchakalpa tarobhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thanks everybody for participating in this program. Ram Raghava Prabhu, Rupa Goswami Prabhu for conducting the program, Ishan Prabhu with your very insightful comments, Neil Shama Prabhu with your wonderful timely quotes, and Dharma Bhavana Prabhu in Texas, Krishna Katha Prabhu, San Diego and Colorado, Andabaya Mataji Jiva Goswami in North Carolina, Vijay Pandit Prabhu in Gopika in Italy, Shiv Narayana in Japan, Rochisa Mataji de la Belle Province de Quebec, Maxime Prabhu in Belarus, and so many devotees, Vamsi Badana in Tokyo, Japan, Chaitanya Nishinga in Edison, New Jersey, and everybody who participated. One thing is, anybody who wants to acquire or distribute the Srimad Bhagavatam, 1962 Srimad Bhagavatam, you're welcome to contact Ron Singh or contact me at yosoda1008@yahoo.com. We'll let you know how you can do that. And also those of you who requested initiation, that will occur on May 2nd in 2026. And you can contact me if you have any questions. Thanks everybody for participating. One quick note, tomorrow, according to the Mayapur calendar, will be the appearance day of Narottam Das Thakur, just like Ishan Prabhu was mentioning, the relationship between Narottam Das Thakur and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Very, very special days for Gaudiya Vaishnavas. It will be Purnima, or full moon day, according to the Mayapur calendar. And next Friday will be Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur's appearance day, and Purushottam Das Thakur's disappearance day. On that day, we'll fast until noon. So thanks everybody for participating. And next week, we will let you know whether we might resume the program back on Sunday. We will discuss and definitely let you know. Thanks everybody. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare